Hi, my name is Elizabeth Barbaza Cousineau. I'm the Artistic Director of the Coldwater Steampunk Festival. My steampunk name is Steam-Lizzy, formerly Gallia Gears. I'm going to talk today about teacups, teacup art, and a little bit about tea, because as we probably all know, tea fuels steampunk. And a very interesting fact, Coldwater, once upon a time, had its very own teacup. So I will hold this up for you. Alas, all we have is a picture, but that's something that's very cool. So I love tea, I love art, I'm a multimedia artist, and I'm doing some wonderful things for the festival this year. So make sure you stop by the Fantasy Fairy Garden, the Fantasy Forest, and I will have these teacups in an installation piece as well, which will be there for your viewing in the Fantasy Fairy Garden. I'm going to talk about how to make your own fairy teacup art today. So the ones I have here are all made from Fimo or polymer clay. I have a variety of different types, every type of brand, and polymer clay is a wonderful thing that you can mold and then bake in your oven at a low temperature. And when it dries, when it's cured, so it dries, it's cured in the oven, and it's quite hard. A lot of you are probably very familiar with polymer clay. There's different ways that you can make fairies as well. I will be doing another demonstration later on about making fairies out of pipe cleaners and beads and flowers, nice flower fairies, which are just awesome for the kids. But the ones that I'm doing for my art installation are actually made out of the polymer clay. And I have some very specific ones, because I have 9 little scenarios that I just did for fun, but I'm also going to have one teacup for every year of steampunk. So for every year and every theme, there will be a special one that you can view. And when you do see the fairy tea party, which is what the piece is called, you can actually vote for your favorite scenario, your favorite teacup. So to start with, you can get a teacup. Now these have been pre-glued, so you can use any kind of glue that's good for ceramics and for a lot of materials. And this is already glued onto its little plate. And you can put different things inside as well. So I have some things that I picked up for a base. You can get fake grass. You can get different kinds of natural material to put in here. I have some that I've used different types of moss. And another way that you can do these is you can actually put soil in, and you can grow grass, and which makes a lovely display when you actually have something growing. So if it's something you're going to have indoors, these ones are going to be outdoors, so I have to make them in a specific way. But if they're indoors, you can actually bring nature inside. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different ways to make fairies. So I'm going to make sure that I can see very well. I've kneaded this quite well, and I'm going to squeeze some to make a head. So I do have a lot of tools here, but your fingers are really your very best tools. And you always have to make sure that you don't leave your fingerprints. So if you squeeze something, make sure you smooth it a bit, or you can leave that part to the end. So I've got a little head and a neck, and I'm going to squeeze out some arms. And the hands you can do in details, or you can just do the cartoon hands where they don't have all the fingers and thumbs. Because the one thing about polymer clay is it can be a bit fragile when you get into small pieces. And sometimes you have to use foil inside or wire inside to support. So I'm just kind of squeezing it out into a little ghost shape here. And the legs you can cut. So I'm going to actually cut the legs like so and squeeze them down. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you can spend more time finessing. I'm just going to give you a basic shape so that you can see what to do. And I'm going to make just a generic fairy body here. One thing I like to do, ways to store your Fimo actually. We have this very cool stacking thing so that you can have different colors. Or you can use something that's flat and you have your colors displayed here. I think I'm going to do a turquoise flower on this one, so I'm going to get some polymer clay. So basic things to teach kids, of course. If you roll this way, you get something long and skinny. If you roll this way, then you get circular and you get a nice little ball. So you can do either for this, but I'm going to make little flower petals. So I'm going to squeeze that down and then I'm going to attach it to make the skirt. So I'm not actually going to complete this one because I don't want to take your whole day, but I just want to show you some of the different techniques. So you can attach flower petals like this, and let me find one that has a similar, some of these are very tiny so it's hard to see, but if you see this one on here, it's got the flower petals, and then you can make a top any way you want, or you can do more of a tunic style in one piece. And of course this one actually has a mermaid tail. So I'm sure you can guess which theme this one is, the oceanic, which is why I have the mermaid and I have the nice fish sort of jumping through the gear in that one. Let me see if I have, so if you can see the little feet in here, I like to do little pointy boots on the little fairies, and that's pretty easy as well. So if you do the skirt with flowers, and I mean you can do it any way you want. You can wrap it around, you can even just make a little skirt or make it like a jumpsuit, and once it's baked you can paint it as well. So some of the faces I've painted because eyes always look more realistic if you have a black pupil and a little white dot. Sometimes you can insert that with your polymer clay, but you might also want to paint it because that makes it a little easier. So once you have decided which way you're going to do it, you can attach your clothing, and then you might want to work on the face. Keep in mind that when your hands are on it and it's warm, you can squish some of the part that you've already done. I'm going to show you how to insert eyes. So if you take one of these little ball tools, or anything pointy even, you can just poke in, and I'll just use the same color just to show. Make a little ball and insert it into the hole, and then take something, and I'm making this overly large so that you'll be able to see it. And you put the color in, and then you can make another little hole, and that one you're going to insert the black. Let's see if I have some here. Okay, this is gray. So let's just pretend that this is black, and you're going to just take a little piece, and ideally it would have been more needed, so you can just roll it between your thumb and forefinger. And this is a nice dark gray, so it works for a pupil. You put that inside, and then you can get something really, really small, and truthfully pens or even pencils work really well sometimes. And I'm just going to put another little indentation, and then I'm going to take a tiny, tiny little piece of white, ever so small, and I'm going to put that in as the reflection in the pupil. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate, or just show you the one eye here. So you can make your fairies in different ways, and if they're large like this one, you can support them with wire. I had to do that with that one. And then you can have them sitting on mushrooms or anything that you want to do. You will see another demonstration on how to make mushrooms, but I'll just show you quickly. There's a couple of different ways. So when you make the mushrooms, you can actually paint the dots on, or you can actually make a mushroom and then insert the dots the same way that I did the eye. So very quickly, I'll make a mushroom shape, and I'm going to put some dots in it, little indentations. And then again, small little balls, put them inside the little indentations. And you can do them in varying sizes and make your mushroom top. You can squeeze it out a bit, and then you can make your stem. So when you make your stem, you want to make sure that you work the polymer clay of the stem into the top of the mushroom. Attachment is always very important when you're working with polymer clay. People can be disappointed. It looks like it sticks when you do it, but sometimes when it's in the oven, a piece will fall off. So any kind of reinforced attachment is your best friend. So if you smooth it in, you can even do the lines of the underneath part of the mushroom, and that helps to work the two colors of polymer clay together. So very quickly, I just want to show you the inside, and then you can figure out how long you want your stem, what shape, and where you want it to go. So some of the different ones that I've done here, I've got some different patterning because you see all kinds of different mushrooms. So you can make them in many different ways. Some of them I've swirled two colors together, kind of marbleizing it. You can always mix polymer clay to create different colors, and you can always smooth some parts in. So this, for example, is, I've got a nice pattern here, and I've smoothed that right in. When you're working very tiny, like you can see compared to my painted fingers, how tiny this one is, you lose the details. You don't want to have too much detail. You want to have more suggestion because it gets very hard. So if I put fingers on a very tiny fairy, they would most likely break off. So I'm going to show you just a couple of the interesting ones here. So this one is the first year of steampunk. So this is pure steampunk theme with gears and keys, and I've colored everything sort of the original sort of steampunk brown, and I've got gears in here, and we've got this lovely little fairy wearing her steampunk hat. So when you're making your own gardens, you can theme it the way that you want to. You can do it also onto polymer clay, like I did. This base is actually polymer clay, and I made this nice little wood stump here, and this one I have standing and leaning. And this one I've actually attached the mushrooms kind of like the fungus that grows on trees. So those are some of the different things you can do. You can go wild with the colors, or you can actually do some of the more natural mushroom colors and the way you see them in the forest. But you can have a lot of fun with it. So I do hope you'll come by and see both our lovely fairy garden that Sylvia made, the natural one, and the fantasy fairy garden, where I've repurposed and recycled a lot of things and made some things from scratch. And you will find the fairy tea party art installation. So these will all be joined together. So thank you very much for coming today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our festival online. Enjoy.